Hi there, and welcome back to the Message Marketing Pod. I'm your host, Christopher Melotti from Melotti Content Media, and this is a special episode where another conversation with Chris, where I've got Bez Black from Bez Agency, and he's a phenomenal provider. He's a great marketer, does all different types of visual content and video for all different brands. So I'm going to let him do the talking for himself. But I'm really excited to talk to him today because the topic we're going to cover, which we keep getting asked about, both of us, so we thought we'd combine forces, is how to choose the right marketing agency partner. And it's something we get asked a lot, and we wanted to address this. So for everyone who owns a business, corporation, we're going to go through what to look for, how to choose the right one for you. So Bez, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, most definitely. So thank you for the introduction. I'm Bez from Bez Agency. To give you a bit of a background, I've been operating for 10 years now, specialize in content creation, so video production, photography, and social media management is the main core services. Obviously, from there, expanded out. We started off in the automotive industry, so we've got a pretty heavy automotive background. We're car enthusiasts, we're car nuts, as you can probably tell in my background, lots of
Yep,
cars,
love it.
lots of different things. And essentially started off in that space. I'm a self-taught creative, didn't study it, went out every day and night practicing just to become,
Mm.
the best version of myself with content creation. Absolutely love it. I was always that person growing up, filming my friends doing young and dumb stuff, putting it together, making compilations, and naturally fell into, doing what I love as a career. So
Nice. And now you've
for
got an agency, like a proper agency, like myself, multiple people doing big things every single day. And that's where we started talking recently, and we started to say it's hard for businesses, like most businesses, organizations, from startups all the way to non-profits and organized governments, companies, a lot of them turn to marketing agencies at one point or another. We need to, get assistance, whether it's a niche project or something more like something larger. And so what I feel is that businesses and these decision makers often find it really hard to make that decision. Because there's so many options out there. All you need to do is Google, and you can just say, marketing agency in Perth, marketing agency in Sydney, marketing agency that specializes in something, and up comes 30 of them. And the other issue that we have seen is that not every marketing agency is the same, and there's some poor services and some poor reputations, some great services that get overshadowed. And so it's a difficult market out there. So I thought what we'll do is let's break it down in some simple, practical steps for companies to make the right decision. So, Bez, do you want to start, and then I'll throw in, and then we'll just bounce off each other, and yeah, and the idea is to keep this really practical so that people listening and watching can go, oh, that's a great idea. Oh, I can check that. Oh, I can do that. So, Bears, what do you think?
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, for us, starting off with content, content is content. It drives and thrives businesses nowadays. Whether you're running adverts and whatnot, you need some sort of piece of content behind it to help push it further. Obviously, if we're talking about Google Ads and whatnot, it's a different story. But starting in the content space, I guess I'm just trying to work out where to start.
No, are you saying like that the agency, so the agency themselves does what they preach? Like they do their own content, and so you can see that they're not just selling the content themselves, like they are using it for their own brand. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, correct, correct. Again,
Yeah.
everything that you do nowadays in business, you need to have some sort of strategy. You can't move without a strategy.
Mm,
And there's a lot of, let's just call it cowboys out there that it's a lot of yes men approach where it's like, yes, we can do that just to get the approach. For people like us, we obviously have a very holistic approach where we will actually want to see results from the work that we generate. And to do so, we actually need to create some sort of strategy behind it. We're not just saying yes to every single piece of work that comes our way. So essentially, I think that's what is creates the biggest difference at the start, where we actually go in
mm.
depth about a company, actually discuss their needs and what they're looking to achieve, nitpick and seeing what they want to do in the direction they want to move in, and then obviously fine tuning it with your expertise advice. We had a conversation the other day in relation to there's a lot of experts around nowadays. You
Yep.
hire them. And then they're asking you half the questions of, hey, what do I do? But you're hiring that specific person to do the work for you. And a perfect example is, something that you may do. Copywriting as such, you hire someone and they ask you, okay, what do you want me to write about? Oh,
Yes.
You're
Oh
the
my
expert.
gosh, there was like four insights in there. So the first one is like to make the right decision on your agency is do they practice what they preach? As in, if they're a content agency, are they producing their own content? Right? There's nothing worse than when you go to a website agency and they have a terrible website, or a copywriting agency they have terrible copy or mistakes. So there was like four things you said in there. The second thing is they start with strategy. Right. I think that's really important as well, is that doers are great, but strategy is what you need. Like an agency should be talking about how they sit down with you, work out a strategy first. The third thing you said was that they are picky about who they work with, and I'm not saying that that they're palming you off, but like I know that I'm honest with clients when they come and they go, this is my problem. I'm like, I'm not the right person to solve this. I know someone who is. I feel like that is another attribute that can help you. It's like you said, Bez, it's not that the agencies go, yes, yes, of course we can do that. Like we'll just say yes and we'll do it later and we'll work it out. So that was a third one. And the last one you said was that what was it? What did you say last? That is to practice what they preach. They know what they start with strategy. They are really good at choosing the right clients.
And so it was in relation to, you're hiring them as a professional to
Oh,
do
that's
the
it.
job.
That's it. Yes, that, which is really important, is
You are the pro.
if you feel like they're leaning on back on you, and I'm not, and this is we have to define this, right? Of course, an agency needs to pick your brain, right? Like as a business, because we don't know your business as well as you do.
Mhm.
But if they're going, tell me what to do next. That's the problem. That's a sign of the agency is probably not the right one for you, because if they're going, what should we be doing? That's what you're paying them for. Like you wouldn't go to an accountant and said, what should I be doing to be compliant? That's their job. And equally so, if you're coming to like Bez, I'm sure Bez, you would never say, what do you want photographed? I'm sure that you would have practical approaches to go, this is the options, right?
100%. And it's stuff that we've experienced before. We work with new clientele and they've obviously had past experiences where it's tainted it a little bit going, we hired this person. Let's just saying we're doing something in hospitality. We're shooting a restaurant. We've got some nice
Mhm.
food. Obviously, you can take some creative control there, laying out the food, putting this drink with this food, styling it, the mood, the lighting.
Mm.
Obviously, taking creative control. Obviously, having clients in the past where they've, hired particular creatives, they've come in and gone, what food do you want to put with this drink? What would you
Yeah.
put on this table? And I think that's where you need to take the guidance. 100%, yes, you need some sort of guidance in terms of like, hey, what's your brand language and style? What's the image that you want to portray? The more
Mm.
you ask, obviously, the more better piece of content you can create. But
Yes.
it's a different story when you're walking in and going, hey, what drink should I put next to this food? I'm not sure what would look good to it. That's where you kind of need to use your creative juices and your expertise, of course, if you are specializing in that industry, to take creative
Mhm.
control and lay out what you think looks good based on the environment as well. So there needs to be a bit of input as well.
I
Uh,
love that. And I would also say for people who are listening and watching right now, is also look for credibility signals. So for example, do they have case studies? Do they have testimonials that you can verify? All of those kind of things, like are they working with brands that you know that you can ask for? I know when I'm working with clients, I say to my clients, here's a page of my testimonials, here's some relevant case studies for you. And would you like to talk to those clients? And that's what I find also verifies it, because I've got nothing to hide. I think it's a great thing that my client speaks so well of me, and I want, like an agency that hides that stuff has got to ring some alarm bells. Where if you were to say, "Oh, can I talk to some of your previous clients?" and they go, "Oh, no, not really," I mean, that's a good indicator. Would you agree, Bez?
I've actually never exercised that, but I'd love to implement that because I think that's an awesome
Mm.
touch point. There's nothing more than having complete transparency, and that's what it should be about.
Yeah. And it's you've got to obviously the agency, as an agency, we need to check with our clients so before we just send them. I just find that like for certain projects, having that advocacy is really important. And I also, what I also ask is I ask a lot of my clients for video testimonials. And I just say to them, don't overthink it. Just hit record on your computer, on your phone or your computer, and just leave me a 2 minute experience. I don't script it for them. I just tell them, I say, speak from the heart. And those videos are great. And for people listening and watching, choosing the right marketing agency
Mhm.
is that's another good thing. Is it because a video is another level. Because if you have someone that says, "Hi, I'm this person from this business, and Chris did this for me, and I was really impressed. These are the results I got." There's nothing more verifying than that, other than calling them directly, right, Bez? So, um,
100%.
and what about other things? Like, I mean, there's hundreds of things that I could look for in signals. Like, I think the collateral that a marketing agency provides. Like, we don't always bombard people with collateral, but sometimes they might say, put a proposal together or show me a slide kit or something like that, and that will also help me because, and sorry, that's a good signal for people who are choosing the right agency, because if the agency is slapping something together on a Word document or something like that the last second, it can show a little bit of, a bit of worry that they're going to be so flippant about your business too. Do you agree, Bess? What do you think?
No, 100%. And just backtracking to that transparency part as well,
Mm.
that's where it also comes into if you don't think that you're going to be able to service that client to the full potential, then that's when you should obviously make an internal decision if you're actually going to take that
Yeah.
work. For us, for an example, we work with a range of industries. We believe that we can tackle pretty much every single type of industry. You go on our website, we've got industries categorized, under the case studies page. There may be some industries that we haven't worked with, and obviously, if we were to get a client where we haven't worked in that space whatsoever, we'd be transparent with it.
Yep.
However,
Yep.
we find work that would be relatable to it to show, but we would be
Correct.
clear that it's like we haven't specifically done this, but we believe that we can learn to understand to be able to create the vision that you're after, and then obviously backtrack and work from there. But again, just creating that pure transparency. And in some cases, someone might be like love the work, but in all honesty, like I want someone who just knows this industry already, and that's completely fine. You
Yep.
know,
Yep.
creating that transparency and just making it crystal clear for the client to make a better informed and educated decision instead of wasting their time.
Yeah.
Well,
And like another one that I hear a lot from clients is that they hate the agencies where someone there's a sales team and they speak a great talk. They spin, they go, oh, look at this, got this fancy, sexy, presentation, and they go, look at all this amazingness, and yes, we can do everything, 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 right? And then the client gets drawn in, and then all of a sudden, all of those people disappear into a thin smoke. Right. And then what happens is you end up with the interns, or you have a team that aren't aware. And the first thing that the agency said, like those people will say is, what did they promise you again? I'm not sure. What are we doing? And that, I mean, that's unfortunately sometimes it can be too late because you've already signed on the dotted line with that. And that can happen. So I know when I speak to clients especially in those initial discovery calls, is I say to them, I'm going to be with you, right? Like I say to them, I'm transparent. I say, I have a team and they help me produce the content and do all the things that I'm doing for you. But I also say, when we have our meetings regularly, it'll be myself or my two, I see my MD, Angela, and you will speak to us regularly. I stay in contact with you, and that's the truth, right? And I just find in a world of all this, that we're seeing right now, which is transactional AI, like superficial, in this world, I feel like relationships and reliability and security are what people are looking for, and that's another good signal. Do you agree, Bez? What do you think?
100%. And we had a previous discussion about this on our last chat, our initial chat, where it's like
Yeah.
they look at you and go, how much money can I make of you as quickly as possible versus how can I build a long-term working relationship with you? Even if I don't get work off you, at least we build some sort of established relationship where I become a point of contact. You never know down the line where someone might need your services, you run into someone in particular, and it might resonate. People think
Mm.
too much about the dollars. The dollars are going to come, money comes and goes, but it's all about how you go at that approach with that person. Too many people are looking at someone going, how much money can I milk off you as quickly as possible and then get out of here? And that
Yeah.
relates to what you just said about you got this amazing sales team, smoke and mirrors, and then it comes to the product and it's like just a big shit show.
Yeah, and you don't want that. And I think that's really important. So I think they're some of the red flags that I mean, to choose the right agency for me, what I would be looking for is that discovery call. If I was the client side, right, I'd be asking a lot of questions in the discovery call and seeing how the person deals with the FAQs that you have. And the reason why is because every business is so different and every marketing strategy and approach to content is so bespoke, that I find that those initial conversations I have with a client is where people learn to trust me the most, is because I say to them, like, any questions at all. And if they don't have any because they're over, like they're stunned because they're having that initial conversation, I'll actually prompt them and I'll say, you're probably wondering this. Well, here's my response. And what I do is I make them feel comfortable with that. And I'm just thinking like, again, if you're listening or watching and going, how do I choose the right agency? It's like, can they answer your questions, especially when you get into the nitty-gritty of it? Like it's like, even if you say, look, we've tried this before and it didn't work, how are you going to be different? And things like that. I just find that when people, when the agency can respond to those questions in a logical and really well considered way, that's a green light for me. Um, Anything, Bez, that you've seen, like anything where a client has gone, you know what, Bez, you're the right one for me. What were those signals that you were giving that you felt like that people went, you know what, I got to choose the Bez agency over someone else?
Um, the biggest things are being transparent and honest.
Yeah.
So it goes back to what we were just discussing before. If we can do it, I'm going to mention we can do it. I have a pretty broad expertise in anything creative. Like,
Yep.
I don't particularly do, websites. I don't particularly specialize in SEO and marketing, but I have a good background in it myself that I've learned myself. I tried and errored. I've seen it with other clients. I've got a base understanding. I don't call myself an expert. However, I can give advice to a certain point, but I will always say, hey, I'm not the expert, but I do have someone I can recommend for you to speak to who will speak to you on the same raw and
Mm,
transparent level that I am. And I'm going to give you an honest opinion. Because when I look at a company to help them, and I know you're the same, I don't just look at it from the content perspective. I take a step back and I look at their company as a whole. How do they talk to the existing clients, their new clients? What does their website base
mm,
things look like? Like I look at everything as a whole, and I will give my expert opinion on what I know and what I've learned myself. Anything that I don't know, I can give like my 2 cents about, but I will always say, I'm not an expert on this. I can recommend an expert for you to speak to if you want a professional opinion, but it's not my forte and it's not my area. I think the biggest thing that wins clients over is just being transparent, honest,
yeah.
and educating them. Because a lot of clients, and even today, I had a meeting today. I won't go into the nitty-gritties of the client and all that type of stuff, but
Mm,
they've had a website person doing their stuff who's also doing the SEO, and they've had a separate person doing like adverts and all that type of stuff, and
mm,
they don't give any education to the client. They have no idea what's going on. They don't know what anything means. It's
mm.
always just like, this is going good, or this is not going good. And that's all they have to gauge. They're not educated. They don't know what's going on. So,
Yeah.
and for me, I want to be educated. Like this is my company that I'm growing. Tell me what's working.
Yeah.
Tell me what these results mean. Like the more feedback I have and the more communication I have, the better. The more I'm going to trust you, the more I understand the process more. And I think that's where a lot of people go wrong. Everyone focuses on look at the results that we got. What was the process? What did you
Yeah.
pull
What can we
out?
do better? How are we monitoring it? How are we assessing it? And so so you find that it's not a standard thing that agencies see, this is what I take for granted is so agencies aren't explaining the context. Is that
I
what
don't
you're
think
saying?
so. I think people focus too much on, hey, these are the results we can get you, and don't really focus on like whilst they have the process, they don't really educate them on the process, and
Yeah.
they don't really educate them on everything about what's involved in the process.
Yeah.
What particular things mean, what things should we be looking out for? I'm not saying that all agencies are like this. I know there's a lot of well-versed agencies out there that do this
Mm.
holistic approach that actually really well-versed educates the client. But there's a lot of people out there who are just like, look at these results. We're going to get this. We promise this. But there's no, ideation around how you're going to get to that. What's the process of that? Like, what does that look like?
Mm.
That's
Yep. I
like
love that.
do this.
Um, this has been really good. Like I think we've kind of summarized it really well. So the main points are for me is look for, like you said, Bess, look for transparency. If you want to choose the right marketing agency for you, it's look for transparency. Are they sharing bespoke things about your business? Like when I do the discovery calls, I talk about their business. It's not like I go, here's my standard sales pitch. Like I'll say, this is what I'm hearing you say. So it's like looking for those green lights, looking for those like green flags. They've got testimonials, they've got credible case studies that reflect what you do. They have good evidence in terms of they show like they practice what they preach. There's a great streamlined process. It doesn't sound like a big sloppy sales, pitch and they disappear. It's all those things. They educate you. There's anything like last minute to summarize. what you're thinking are the key signs?
Um, key signs. Key signs. To summarize it, I would say
Mm.
find someone who obviously you feel is knowledgeable in the industry and can
Yep.
add some sort of education and insight.
Hmm.
Don't be afraid to ask as many questions as you like, because realistically, an agency that really wants to help you scale is going to
Mm.
answer all your questions in depth as possible.
Yep.
And then I guess the next best thing is, just doing a bit of due diligence and research and seeing what they actually do specialize in, making sure that they're not spreading themselves too thin and seeing where their strengths actually lie based on their case studies and results and
Yep.
what those results have actually been occurred in. Because, I see a lot of agencies that may be full service and we do this, this, this.
Oh, yes.
Their case studies
Yeah.
is like, just one particular avenue of those services, but it's like, what about the others? Is this just like a additional thing you've just added on to be a full service? Like, are you actually professionals in it, or is it white labeled? Like, give us a bit of an insight so we know who and what we're working with?
Yeah. I love this. That was fantastic. All right. Well, we're going to wrap this up. I hope this has helped everyone listening and watching about how to choose the right marketing agency for your needs. I mean, there's been so many, like, there were so many good insights there. I hope everyone wrote those down and went, do these get ticked when I'm choosing my agencies? Are all of these getting tick boxed? And that will help you choose the right agency that you can trust, because there's a lot out there, but it's like, how do I choose the one that I can actually trust and who's going to be there shoulder to shoulder with me? So thank you so much, Bez. Bez is from the Bez agency. Check him out. He's fantastic in the video space and content space, social media space. Has definitely earned his stripes in this area in marketing. And thank you everyone for joining me in the Message Marketing Pod. I'm your host, Christopher Melotti from Melotti Content Media, and I'll see you in the next episode. Thank you, Bez, for coming.
Not a problem. Thank you.